Who cares about the stupid meetup anyway?
I'm done with you.
I'm totally done with you.
Oh, dude,
Frank, you alright?
What's going on?
Frank!
Frank.
Whoa, whoa! Whoa!
God.
Frank! Shit!
John,
Harrison, get the kill! Hold on! Yo!
God.
Somebody call an ambulance! Harrison!
You alright?
Frank!
Dude,
Frank!
Frank.
Harrison, get your laptop!
Get
Keep going!
up,
Frank!
let's go.
Shit! Oh, dude, we're losing him!
I got
Frank!
it. Move out of the way. Look out. Quick. Wait, I need a copy of Nmap. Somebody give me a copy of Nmap, quick.
John!
On specially marked packages, a free copy of Nmap.
Frank!
Oh, he's awake.
He's up. He's good.
Dude, are you alright?
Whoa, man.
You
Was
alright,
that
man?
weird, dude? Yeah, I'm good, man. Hey, man, I ain't a drink.
Alright, let's go get a drink. Where do you want to go?
Drink. There's no regrets, son.
No regrets is great, man. Let's go.
Let's go.
Alright.
Tech TV. This place had some real memories for me. My name's Leo Laporte, and you may remember me from such shows as The Screensavers and Call for Help. Well, that's all over now. They're taking the place down and folding it up. Frankly, at 76 years old, I'm too old for this. Thank God Hak5's here to take over. Kids, hit it.
Hey everybody, welcome to Hak.5. I'm your host, Wes.
And I'm Darren. If this is your first time tuning in, Hak.5 is a technology variety show for the hacker, the modder, the coder, and the do-it-yourself geek and all of us.
And we like to wrap all that tasty information in a light tech humor blanket and bring it to you on the 5th of every month.
In this episode, John's going to bring us a coding challenge.
I'm doing a mod with a laser and an iPod.
He's also going downtown with Harrison for a light afternoon hack.
And D here gives us a nice VNC install tip that'll make your network administration just a touch easier.
So let's go ahead and get this party started.
Cheers.
One of the things that we like to do between episode releases is hang out on our forums. One of the fans on our forums has posted a coding challenge. In fact, this is one of many coding challenges that we've had on our site. This one is by Asman, inspired by Wet Electric, and the code challenge is to input N and K, and the output should be the number of possibilities you can add K numbers so that the given result of N. I don't know anything about code. So, with me here is John, who's just taken the code challenge and wants to up the ante.
Yeah, I checked out the forums, I looked at it, and I said, you know, this is actually going to be a lot of fun. So, I was actually at work. Yes, I was at work coding, something I shouldn't have been, but that's okay. We'll leave that out.
You code for a living.
Yeah, I code for a living, so it doesn't matter.
All right.
And I was actually with one of the guys I programmed with, and we were like, okay, well, let's see who can do this the fastest. Unfortunately, I lost. He beat me, but he's a much sharper C++ programmer, and since part of the rules was to do it in C++, I went ahead and did it. So we did get it finished. We got it complete. This is actually the code for it written in C++.
Actually, can you explain to me what exactly does it
yeah.
mean? Because I see input and output.
And now you can realize what programmers actually go through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, sounds like something management would give
management gives you this, and you have to build something completely different. So basically, you're going to be accepting two variables, or input of two variables, N and K, or whatever you decide to call it. Then, based on that, for example, n, I get the value 10. K is going to give me the value 3. I have to come up with 3 values that will equal the value 10. So, for example, we have 8 plus 1 plus 1.
Okay.
That's 3 values.
Sure.
Okay, what else could equal to 10?
5 plus 4 plus 1?
Exactly.
Okay.
And basically you have to come up with all the combinations that will come up with that result. But it's not just 10 and 3. You have to come up with every possible solution.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So we're going to go ahead and dip into the code.
Sure, let's
This is C++. I did rewrite in PHP, but all that information will be there for you.
So is the challenge of the code to get it done in the least amount of lines, or is it the most finesse? What is it?
Actually, it's a mixture of both. This is something a little different. I'm actually going to challenge the viewers.
Uh-oh.
Challenge the viewers, yes. Now, I didn't purposely, like, make this code bad, but after writing it, or actually, excuse me, after Tolly wrote it and I went up and cleaned it, because Tolly's the one who did actually finish all the code, and then I went back and cleaned it. We noticed a lot of cool areas where we could really clean this up.
You could like optimize it.
You can totally optimize
then I'm
it.
sure a lot of our viewers are going to go.
Oh yeah, so I really hope the
Tear it
viewers
up.
can come in and just hack away. And there are a lot of spots where the viewers can come and clean this up. So I'm gonna go over a few points that will help the viewers get started. This is written in C++, like I said. We did use the STL library, we used vectors, and we also used the algorithm. So we used your IO stream, vector, and algorithm header files so that we can use those classes. Next, we're just going to create a few vectors. However, I'm going to give you a few hints to what we did. First off, we used recursion. Now, you probably have no idea what that is. Recursion's a very basic thing, but it can become very complicated.
It's like GNU.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because GNU is not Unix.
Okay. Back to the point. Recursion is basically you have a function and then you call itself. Yeah, you call itself, and basically it just calls itself over and over again. But it's not an endless function or an endless for loop. It actually has a stopping point. And it sounds pretty complicated. It can be, but it can also be very simple. So we did use recursion. You may want to keep that in mind when you are building this application. And let me see, what are a few points that I could bring out to help the viewers? We use vectors, we use iterators. If you decide to do this in PHP, you're not going to need your iterators. You have your for each loop.
Anybody can come here and
they can come into any language,
whatever,
yes.
Python.
So I've got C++ version for you. I've got a PHP version for you. And
I want to see in Python.
You want to see?
No, I want to see in Perl. With like all the
all the funky semicolons.
Yeah, Waka Waka Bang.
So the challenge is for you guys, and I guess we'll go from there. And
great. So if you'd like to show John up and tear his codes to bit, go ahead and log on to the forums, hak5.org/forums, and take the coding challenge. John, thanks so much for the awesome code. I cannot wait to test it out on my own network.
And coming up next, I think Wes is getting his hands dirty on set.
So the problem that was presented to me a few weeks ago back when I was having a party is that I needed to play music from my computer to my stereo. That way anybody could just walk in and click a song on the playlist without having to like burn a CD or a whole bunch of CDs and keep them like next to the stereo. There's a couple of solutions, but I wanted to do it wirelessly. That way I don't have to run wires all the way across my apartment. A, because I'm a neat freak and that will not fly in my apartment, and B, because the longer the cable, and in this case it would be a really long cable, the worse the signal degradation gets. So I went out, I'm a sucker, went out and bought AirTunes, which plugs right into the stereo receiver, and I can play music wirelessly from iTunes. The only problem is this sets me back about $150. So Wes kindly reminded me that I'm a noob, and there's a leader and much cheaper way to do this. And it's really cool because it involves lasers. So Wes, what is the device that involves lasers?
Okay, basically what we've done is take a pen laser pointer, and using amplitude modulation, we'll be able to carry our audio signal from our source to our receiver across the room.
Okay, so this is like direct line of sight?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, where'd you first hear about it?
Picked it up on iHak.5, but the original article was from a website that's SciToys.com, made by a guy named Simon Field.
Okay. Well, I see a lot of little parts here. Do you think you could explain to me and the viewers what they are and how much they cost and we can get them?
Sure. All right. Starting off, we actually picked up the laser pointer here from ThinkGeek.
Okay, that's a new site. Somebody go register it.
Yeah, awesome. No, ThinkGeek.com. It ran about $10 there.
Okay.
So we've got that. And then I've relocated the batteries from the laser pointer into this box here. This came from Rat Shack,
Okay.
Radio Shack. And
Now, you can run these parallel, though. We just chose to get a battery pack to make it easier to wire, right?
yeah, this just makes life a lot more simple.
Okay, cool. And I have to ask this question.
Yeah.
This is not the full laser pointer. You just hacked it up?
No, there's a whole barrel that goes behind this, and that's what the batteries were originally stored in. But this was part number 270-398B.
Okay.
And then we've got a miniature audio output transformer. This is part 273-1380.
Okay.
And this is all for the actual transmitter half.
Okay. And then we need a receiver, right?
Yeah, and then for the receiver, we've got one of these cadmium sulfide photocells. Cadmium,
right?
photocells. This is 276-1657. AA battery, because this is more like a resistor. It's not like a solar cell that actually creates electricity. This will just vary how much is going through. So we need a AA battery.
Gotcha. And both of these are plugged into mic input?
Well, one's our source, which would be like a headphone jack,
output.
and then one would be an input.
Gotcha.
Like,
Now we
like a
obviously
mic.
have a little switch here.
Yeah, a little toggle switch that I decided that I wanted to pick up for this because
You like switches?
I do like switches. And the flaw I saw in this man's original design was that once it's all wired together, the laser's just on.
Okay. So you don't want to have to like unplug it and then plug it back in whenever you want to use it.
Well, I mean,
Switch.
yeah, you just switch on, off.
Gotcha.
Done.
Cool. Well, I guess we should just head on into the hack and show us how to do it.
Yeah. So, starting off, we've hacked up the laser pointer here, and what we have to do is run our wires in different directions.
Okay.
We're going to come straight off of the hotline of the battery pack here, and then this will just get attached directly to the laser pointer itself.
Okay.
So for the time being, we'll just kind of twist it on right here. I'm going to solder all these connections here shortly. That just gets tied on to anywhere that there's, the positive is.
Okay, gotcha.
And you just have to pay attention to how that is per your laser pointer.
All right.
So that's just a direct line. And then from there, we take our negative side, and that runs to one side of our audio transformer right here, just like that. And then the other negative gets bridged from the battery pack to the transformer. And we'll just twist this connection together here. And I know it looks like a tangled mess. You can take a lot more time and
Make it neat.
make it neat. Stick it in a hobby box.
From housing, right?
Yeah, get a hobby box from Radio Shack and make it look pretty.
Gotcha. Let me take a look at this so I can follow you.
Yeah, take a look at it this way. I mean, that's just a really simple thing right there.
Okay.
There's our
Gotcha.
continuous loop.
Yep.
And then on the other side,
It's the
now there's two sides to this. There's a 1,000 milliohm.
something like that. Right?
Something like that. I can't remember exactly. And then there's an 8 ohm side to this.
So this is the
This is
the output.
Yeah, this is the output, and this is the 8 ohm side.
Okay.
And that's the side with only two wires, a red and a white.
Okay.
Right there.
That's easy enough.
Yeah. And that just goes to a standard jack like this. You can pick these up from Radio
on the inside
Shack.
of this little red housing, it's not positive or negative. You can just plug it on either side. As long as it's
as far as I can tell, yeah. As long as you keep all your sides straight, uniform, then it won't be any problem.
Very good.
And I've got all those connections inside of there soldered. It takes about maybe 15-20 minutes, depending upon how fast you work, to get this side done.
Okay.
And then our receiver over here is, of course, our AA battery as a power source. Then we've got the little
solar cell.
Photocell right here.
We could just use solar cells and power our house off it, right? If we had 1,000,000 of these. No, not really. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, that and this polarity doesn't matter on this side either.
Okay.
So you just run one line from the battery pack to the photocell to your jack, your plug, and then back from that jack to the battery over here.
Gotcha. Very cool.
I mean, that's all there really is to it. And then you can wire the switch in on the hot side over here.
That's an optional thing.
That's an optional thing. I'll do it for my own purposes later.
Right. Gotcha. Well, should we test it out? Is it ready to go?
As it is right now, yeah, it pretty much is.
All right. Well, we not happen to have. We put it here ahead of time.
Yeah, purposefully.
A stereo. So here we go. Let's pull it up, and I will let you take over from here.
All right. So we've got our stereo right here. Go ahead and turn it on. CD's the best thing. No CD, no extra sound going on.
Gotcha.
So we will plug in
the music coming from the iPod.
Yeah, all we got to do is
soon to be.
It's playing right now. So now we just line up our laser sight. Hit the little button.
I'm going to turn the volume up.
Let's see if our listeners can hear that.
There we go. I hear it. So in this case, you have to have a very steady hand, but it wouldn't be too hard to make a mount for it if you knew where it was and had some binoculars to across the room. Now, that's pretty good. I mean, sounds good. Sounds great.
It's okay.
The only downfall is that, as opposed to, something like AirTunes, you have to make it yourself, and you have that line of sight problem. But this is much cooler than AirTunes because it can do other things, like blind people, if you really wanted it to.
Yeah, if somebody starts effing with your, your music, you can just turn it, bam,
boink, and blind them. Yeah,
exactly.
So that's a really cool feature.
But I mean, this would be something. It's not going to replace AirTunes. I'm sorry.
No, but
not at this point.
It's for people that want to do things like this for fun, like we do all the time.
Yeah,
but that's really cool. Thanks a lot for showing us. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
All the pertinent information will be available in the show notes and
Hak5.org/forums.
Yeah.
I guess that's it. Cool music, and I think that sums it up. Thank you, guys.
All right, so that was a really quick and easy mod. I'd pick that up on the internet. It's a lot of fun. So up next, we've got our security.
What kind of security?
Bad security.
I like bad security.
Yeah, you know Harrison. He always finds those loopholes.
Harrison is charming in his own special ways.
In his own special leet hacksaw kind of script kiddie.
I love leet ways. Yeah.
The leet ways.
I like when he owns things.
Owns?
Yeah.
The owner.
The owner.
Owner.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's go ahead and check out a hack. All right, so y'all might have recognized this spot from episode 3 when we did our art cache poisoning. And Harrison here is getting ready to show us another sweet security loophole. But joining us is another just absolutely beautifully talented hacker, Isabel.
Her name is Isabel. Say hello, Isabel.
So we decided to do something a little bit different today.
Yeah, this time around, instead of having a specific hack in mind, we went out in the field to find out what was available to us.
Unfortunately, this network is not on the William & Mary network, so it's not going to be a lot of fun. So let's head down and find a wireless network that is on the William & Mary network.
Founded in 1693 by the Reverend James Blair, the College of William & Mary is the second oldest institution of higher learning in the United States, second to Harvard.
She's going to show us where the wireless networks are. I sort of feel bad about owning William & Mary kids because they don't really know any better. So Isabel has taken us all the way to the College of William & Mary bookstore.
In 1862, during the American Civil War, drunken soldiers of the 5th Pennsylvania Cavalry set fire to the Wren building, reportedly in an attempt to prevent Confederate snipers from using it for cover.
I believe they have a Wi-Fi access point here, and not only that, but it's tied into the William & Mary wireless network. Wes, weapons of mass destruction, please.
Aye, sir.
So the first step in any successful attack is to run a little bit of enumeration on the network. That way you can gather some information about your target. So we decided to run a few in-map scans so we could figure out what systems were vulnerable.
Normally you need a key because you can jump on the wireless network, but they have a device or a piece of software that authenticates you from a website. Now, we just happen to have a username and password, which...
Yeah, some things are better left unsaid. But if you're student number 1763, thank you.
So we're going to first find out our subnet and then run a few in-map scans.
So the first scan we ran was a ping scan. Now that will show us what computers and how many computers are on the network.
I have a hard time imagining that all of these computers are wireless users because everybody's on break. So all the students are gone, there's nobody to use wireless network. I have a feeling what it looks like is they're using something like the Sonic Wall Soho 3 TZW, which is integrated wireless into the firewall, so the subnet for the wireless can be set up to be the same as the subnet for the wired computers.
So what we see on our wireless network connection
is the same thing, the wired network.
The next scan we ran was a version scan, which revealed the application name and version of every software and service that's running on a particular computer. Now we did this several times until we found a vulnerable computer.
now this is interesting. I'm seeing, this is actually really interesting.
What do you got?
I don't know why in the world somebody's got an Apache box up, but it looks like there's an old Apache server running. Okay, so the particular version of Apache that was running on this computer was 1.3.17, which is very old and also susceptible to numerous attacks. Why don't we jump on the web, and I'm going to run a security focus real quick and see if we can come up with some sort of exploit for this version of Apache. Security Focus is a great website that's not only hosts the bug track mailing list, but also has an up-to-date list of exploits. Now, some of the other good sites that you can check out are Exploit Tree and Packetstorm. According to Security Focus, Darren, you're going to kill me. It looks like this is built into Metasploit now. So I can see his face already. He doesn't want me using Metasploit. All right, you take over. That way he can't like yell at me.
So I get yelled at.
Yeah, okay. All right. So you're going to use Metasploit because it's already on that computer. The IP address is...
Okay, so starting off with Metasploit, we have to decide which exploit we're going to use. And we decided to go with the Apache chunked Win32.
Yep. Now the next step is to set the remote host. Now, the remote host is obviously the target computer that we will be exploiting.
And from there, we decided to do a show of all the available payloads for our particular exploit, and we set it to the Win32 bind payload.
Right. Now we have to set the target. That's which operating system and version of Apache we're going to be exploiting. We set the target to 0, which is the Windows generic brute force.
Right. And we went ahead and executed the exploit, but this particular payload was a no-go. It did not work.
Yep. So what we did was unset the payload and then reset it to the Win32 reverse shell.
Now, just as a quick reminder, if you're using the reverse shell, you have to make sure to set your local host, your L host, which is your computer, so that shell gets reflected back to you. From there, we executed the exploit, and bingo! We have a C prompt in Darwin.
Yep, piece of cake.
There we are. Okay.
All right.
So Metasploit has come in handy and proved itself useful once again.
Script beauty.
Darren's like freaking out right now. Because we used it last month. But anyhow, we've got root directory on this computer.
So obviously the moral of this story is not go exploit Apache, but rather make sure that you know who else is on your network. For example, number 1, don't ever use a school network. Ever. Number 2, make sure that when you do join a network, you know who else is on the network, so you want to scan it with Nmap, just like we did, and find out who is vulnerable. Because the vulnerabilities on a network affect you directly. If we were mean, which we're not, we could have chosen to take advantage of that server. We could have set it up as a host for all types of other attacks. For example, we could have made a whole phishing site out of it and done DNS poisoning to spearfish certain users on that network. The other things we could have done are endless. But make sure that you know who else is on your network and what services are running. That way you can choose to not be on that network if you know it's vulnerable.
Last month's trivia question was incredibly long.
It was obscenely long.
Last month's trivia question was like kind of an Easter egg hunt where the viewers would go to a special URL where they'd find a video.
That had a question.
And then the answer to the question was the next part of the URL.
It was appended to the URL. That URL took you to the next question.
And so on and so forth. That URL, if you're following along at home, is really
right
long.
Here.
Yes, this right here.
Right, all through here. And let's get rid of that.
So, that was actually, okay, the last trivia question was at midnight on the East Coast. That would be 5 a.m. GMT.
Correct.
On January 1st.
Of the new year.
Yes. So, that question was basically match the cast of Hak5, Harrison, Wess, John, and myself, with our respective laptops. Answer to that is, I've got the Dell.
Gateway.
Harrison's got the IBM.
And John has the Compact HP.
Yes.
Presario.
Yes, it's one of those.
Yeah.
So that was correctly answered by Ilya!
Ilya! Oh, Ilya. Here's to you, buddy. Congratulations.
So we're going to take the old poster that we had, the previous
black and white.
Right, we're going to
all signed by us.
And we're going to ship it out to Ilya.
In New York.
Right on. This month's trivia question.
In 1904, the Koch curve, one of the earliest fractal curves, appeared In what paper?
Send your answers to trivia@hak5.org.
Up next is our VNC networking tip.
But first, a word from our sponsors.
Meet Adrian. He's a web programmer. But unlike other programmers, he's pulling his hair out trying to code a new web application using TCL and Cold Fusion. That's right, Adrian. You could have had your app done yesterday had you used the new Microsoft Web 2.0 Services Framework.
Integrate with new open source XML JavaScript and peer-to-peer dynamic AJAX. The new Microsoft Web 2.0 Services provides user-created collaborative wikis that are not only RSS compliant, but iPod and PSP friendly. Capitalize on a long tail by using our open API and increased ROI. The Web 2.0 Services Framework built by Microsoft leverages the power of voice over IP, IPTV, and TCP/IP to provide you with rich tagging and a blogging experience. That's right, not only is it extensible with plugins, but the Folksonomy functions rival the best of delicious. Try our public beta today and see how you can synergize your next Web 2.0 application in real time. Experience Web 2.0 like never before with new Microsoft's Web 2.0 Services Framework, now available on CD-ROM. Welcome back to Hak.5. I'm here to give you another code tip. This time we're going to go into some JavaScript. A lot of times it's a pain in the butt when you're trying to view pages or do some pagination really fast instead of doing those page requests. Well, I got a trick for you. Let's go ahead and get started. We are going to only use JavaScript and HTML. So we're going to go ahead and create a function in JavaScript called showPage or whatever you decide to do, and it's going to accept an ID. Next, we're going to create a variable that's going to have the total number of pages. Now, there's a lot of flexibility where you could change this, where it's set dynamically. I went ahead and set it to 2 since the HTML is only going to be handling 2 pages. Next, we're going to go ahead and create a for loop. This is a really cool trick when you're managing lots of pages or you want to do some pagination. Instead of specifically hiding those div tags one by one, just do a for loop, hide all of them, and only show the one that you want to display. So that's basically the idea of the way that this code is set up. However, there's a lot of flexibility within it because you can set this stuff server-side if you're using AJAX, or you can set it client-side if you're just sticking with some JavaScript. Next, we're going to just go into our actual HTML, and I went ahead and created a very simple div ID navigation and set 2 links to say click here to display page 1 or page 2. Now, on click, we're going to actually call that function, pass it that ID. For this example, we have 1 and 2, or you could dynamically set it, and it will call that function, hide all of those div tags, and then only display the ID that you sent it. So, if I click page 2, I'm setting the number 2 to it, and then it displays that page. Next, we're just going to go into the actual style. It's going to involve very little CSS. The important part is you actually want to set that div tag to a style display none. None is actually going to hide the div tag on the page load. Then, when you actually call the function and set that div tag, you're going to put display block, and it actually blocks all of the styles of that page, specifically none. So that's your basic code tip of the day for some JavaScript. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you soon.
We're going to take a question from a viewer. Jay writes, is there a way to schedule a batch file to defragment my hard drive while I sleep? You see, Jay's downloading a lot of BitTorrent and other files that are kind of mucking up his hard drive, and it's taking multiple passes with the defrag to really clean it up.
Now, first things first, when it comes to defrag, Windows requires at least 15% of free disk space so it can actually swap the files and bits and bytes back and forth. That's a bare minimum. I actually try to shoot for 20 to 25% free disk space. And, you know, as we know with dumping DV footage and stuff, we use a 200 gig drive.
Huge files.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of space that you're losing, but it's really a good idea because especially if you're working with DV footage, audio editing, you know, anything that's hard drive intensive, even BitTorrent, you know, you're going to see a huge performance increase by doing that. And nightly, hey, if you're asleep and your computer's on, at least give it something to do.
Yeah. Now, I know it's something that you do and I'm starting to do now is when I'm doing my BitTorrents, the torrent itself is downloaded to one partition of the drive, and then I'll transfer those files to another larger partition, so that way I've only got the one getting gunked up.
Yeah, and then you just schedule a batch job. So, to schedule that batch job, what you're going to want to do is create a file in your C drive called defrag.cmd, and within that file, you want to write with Notepad or another text editor, defrag space C:, you know, if that's the drive you want to defrag, and then waka waka C:/defrag.log. What that'll do is that'll run the defrag, and that'll also append the log or the results of that defrag to defrag.log in your C drive so you can go and check it.
Make sure everything's working properly.
Then to schedule that, you want to use the @ command, and that is @ in this example 01:00, that'd be 1 a.m. /every m/t/w/th/f/s/su space /defrag.cmd. So that'll go ahead and schedule it so that at 1 a.m. every day it'll run the defrag.cmd.
So in Windows they don't have a command for every day of the week. You have to do each one individually.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh, God, that's so horrible.
But, you know, it's not that bad. Actually, the @ command is really cool. It's just like cron in Unix, and if you want more information on that, head over to ss64.com/nt/at.html. Great resource for finding out about all those cool Windows NT CMD stuff you ever wanted to know. If you've got a question,
please feel free to send it to questions@hak5.org. It doesn't have to be directed to either Darren or myself. Any cast member will find an answer for you.
Great.
So last month, Harrison was able to get a VNC session on Darren's computer using Metasploit. However, Darren today is going to show us how to do this the legit way through a computer network. So why don't you show us what you got, man?
Right, well, I'm going to take a few steps back. Yeah, last month Harrison did get VNC access on my computer using Metasploit, and it was kind of cool. But what I've done is I've dug in, and this is one of these tools that I use to administrate a huge network of computers, and it comes in a lot handy. First, take a step back. VNC is a remote desktop application. It allows you to remotely log into somebody's computer, and you can use the mouse, keyboard, you see what's on their screen. It's really nifty.
Right. So it's a lot like RDP.
It's just like remote desktop protocol in Windows, and it's also similar to like things like Go to My PC and stuff. But it's open source. It's really neat, and there's a lot of great tools for it. And this is one of those that I love.
All right.
This is called Fast Push, and it's from darkage.co.uk, and it's a great little tool that allows you to remotely install it on a Windows network. So if you're running a Windows computer and you're on the network, and I need to get to your computer, then I could use this tool if I had your administrator password to install the VNC service on your computer and then log in. Okay, I'm going to show you how it's done. It's really simple.
All right.
So here we go. We've got Fast Push open. This is just extract the zip, throw it in the root, and it supports a lot of different VNC distributions. There's the regular real VNC, various versions of that, as well as Ultra VNC, ZVNC, and my favorite Tight VNC.
Now, see, that's where I have a little question for you. I don't really know a lot about the different VNCs. So why don't you give me a little idea of users like myself?
Well, there's the real VNC, which is the original one created by AT&T Labs.
Okay.
There's Tight VNC, which is kind of like a spin-off on that. And each VNC distribution kind of has its own little spin on VNC. Tight VNC is really cool because it has like JPEG compression. So if you're on a slower network, it may not look as good, but it'll allow you to get the job done a lot quicker.
Gotcha.
And then ZVNC and Ultra VNC have their own little features, but I mainly just stick to the real distribution and the tight distribution.
All right.
Okay?
Gotcha.
And so we've extracted everything here, so we'll go over to a command prompt. And it's real simple. The command is fastpush 8 or FP8, and that'll bring up this nice little splash screen here where we can set our options. It's pretty easy. We just enter in an IP address of the computer on the network that we want to install it on. So in this case, it's 192.168.1.139. And then we're going to give it, we're going to tell what version of VNC we want to install. In this case, it's going to be real 337. And then we need to give it a username, and that would be administrator. You need to make sure that the user that you're installing this with has administrative access on that machine. And then the password. And then we're going to give it, we're going to say PWD, and this will be the password for the VNC server. So I'm just going to call it test. Okay, so press enter.
Let's see.
And it goes ahead, connects to the remote machine, and installs this. So I don't actually have to go to that machine. So if I'm on a huge network with hundreds of computers, and I know which computer I need to install it on, it's great.
Or see, from a programmer standpoint, I could see what you just did get all of what I need, all of the computers if I want to install at one time and do
it's
run a
great.
job, right?
Yeah, I could create a job to install on all the machines across the network if you have the administrator password for all of those, and it makes systems administration a breeze. So everything's installed, and I'm going to go ahead and fire up VNC Viewer, connect to that machine, and password. There we go.
Wow.
And
that was slick. That was really
and
fast,
now I'm on
too.
my machine at home.
I like that. It's really, really cool.
There's also one little thing that I'd like to mention, and that is with there's on the Dark Age homepage, there's a little tweak for the 3.3.7 version of Real VNC, which has this cool little feature where it replaces the regular VNC service so that it doesn't have a tray icon. And with some of the other switches that you can use with Fast Push, it allows you to turn off putting icons on the desktop and in the Start menu. So you could put kind of like a silent installation of VNC on your computer or your friend's computer.
That is really awesome. I really appreciate that. I've learned a little something new. If you guys are interested in learning more about this, make sure you visit the show notes, and we will see you there.
That just about wraps up this episode of Hak.5. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, I'd like to remind you that you can email us. I'm Darren at Hak5.org.
I'm Wess at Hak5.org, and we also have Harrison at Hak5.org and John at Hak5.org.
You can also visit the website where we'll have polls and the forums where you can find the show notes, of course, tech support from us and the viewers.
Don't forget you can leave us voicemail on the Hak5 hotline. That number is 206-338-HAK5.
And I'd like to pose a question to everybody. What is this? Is this IPTV? Is it a vidcast, a video podcast?
Vlog, vodcast.
Vodcast,
I don't know. But seriously, give us your input. Tell us what you think this is called.
We'd like to know.
Yeah.
Also, I'd like to give a big shout out and thank you to Leo Laporte, Amber MacArthur, and Mike Lazazzera for guest starring on this episode. So, hot stuff. Until next time, I'm Darren.
And I'm Wess.
Trust your techno-lust.
Come on, short bus. I don't know what I'm doing.
We are huge noobs! I just wrote. Too much beer.
Take 8.
Take 8.
Beep.
God, where's my pillow? Where's my agent?
Yeah, you're like, I'm
Yeah.
Darren. And I'm Amber. I have a bobblehead.
She's whining, which means she senses packet loss. It's okay. We'll take care of that.
Okay, come on now.
Okay, maybe it's not packet loss.
All right, thank you.
That just wraps it up.
Take 9.
If you want to cut here?
Vantage. That just about wraps it.
Take 10.
Beep. I gotta wear the mic. I wear the pants, I wear the mic, you know.
Yeah, that's where it is. What does Mikey wear?
Nothing.
Ooh, sounds kind of
Oh,
sexy.
God,
no. That just about wraps. Take 11.
11.
So, I'm
sorry, I wasn't recording.
You weren't recording! That was the best part! Hi, I'm Steven. I'm from Buffalo. I came up to Toronto because it's colder here, and you're watching Hak.5.
So, let's go check out episode 6, which we haven't filmed yet.
Move over. Oh, God. Ow!
We're gonna IBM in the tube.
I'm sorry, man.
I'm really bleeding.
Dude, I'm sorry, man.